Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto. And text 18. Okay. So please repeat. Kirāta-hūṇāndhra-pulinda-pulkaśā ābhīra-śumbhā yavanāḥ khasa-ādayaḥ anye ca pāpā yad-apāśrayāśrayāḥ śudhyanti tasmai prabhaviṣṇave namaḥ. Kirāta-hūṇāndhra-pulinda-pulkaśā ābhīra-śumbhā yavanāḥ khasa-ādayaḥ anye ca pāpā yad-apāśrayāśrayāḥ śudhyanti tasmai prabhaviṣṇave namaḥ. Kirāta-hūṇāndhra-pulinda-pulkaśā ābhīra-śumbhā yavanāḥ khasa-ādayaḥ anye ca pāpā yad-apāśrayāśrayāḥ śudhyanti tasmai prabhaviṣṇave namaḥ. Kirāta-hūṇāndhra-pulinda-pulkaśā ābhīra-śumbhā yavanāḥ khasa-ādayaḥ anye ca pāpā yad-apāśrayāśrayāḥ śudhyanti tasmai prabhaviṣṇave namaḥ. Kirāta, a province of old Bhārata. Hūṇa, part of Germany and Russia. Āndhra, a province of southern India. Pulinda, the Greeks. Pulkaśāḥ, another province. Ābhīra, part of old Sind. Śumbhāḥ, another province. Yavanāḥ, the Turks. Khasa-ādayaḥ, the Mongolian province. Even those. Anye, others. Also. Pāpāḥ, addicted to sinful acts. Whose? Apāśraya-āśrayāḥ, having taken shelter of the devotees of the Lord. Śudhyanti, at once purified. Tasmai, unto him. Prabhaviṣṇave, unto the powerful Vishnu. Namaḥ, my respectful obeisances. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Kirāta-hūṇāndhra-pulinda-pulkaśā, ābhīra-śumbhā, yavanāḥ, member of the khasa races, and even others addicted to sinful acts can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord due to his being the supreme power. I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Purport. Kirāta, a province of old Bhārata Varsha mentioned in the Bhishma Parva of Mahabharata. Generally, the Kirātas are known as the aboriginal tribes of India, and in modern days, the southern Parganas in Bihar and Chota Nagpur may comprise of the old province named Kirāta. Hūṇa, the area of East Germany and part of Russia, is known as the province of the Hūnas. Accordingly, sometimes a kind of hill tribe is known as the Hūnas. Āndhra, a province in southern India mentioned in the Bhishma Parva of Mahabharata. It is still extant under the same name. Pulinda, it is mentioned in the Mahabharata, Adi Parva 174:38, namely the inhabitants of the province of the name Pulinda. This country was conquered by Bhishmadev and Sahadev. The Greeks are known as Pulindas, and it is mentioned in the Vana Parva of Mahabharata that the non-Vedic race of this part of the world would rule over the world. The Pulinda province was also one of the provinces of Bharat, and the inhabitants were classified among the Kshatriya kings. But later on, due to their giving up the Brahminical culture, they were mentioned as mlechas, just as those who are not followers of the Islamic culture are called kafirs, and those who are not followers of the Christian culture are called the heathens. Ābhīra, the name also appears in the Mahabharata, both in the Shabha Parva and Bhishma Parva. It is mentioned that this province was situated on the river Saraswati in Sind. The modern Sind province formerly extended on the other side of the Arabian Sea, and all the inhabitants of that province were known as Ābhīras. They were under the domination of Maharaj Yudhishthir, and according to the statements of Markandeya, the mlechas of this part of this world would also rule over Bhārata. Later on, this proved to be true, as in the case of the Pulindas. On behalf of the Pulindas, Alexander the Great conquered India, and on behalf of the Ābhīras, the Muhammad Ghori conquered India. These Ābhīras were also formerly Kshatriyas within the Brahmanical culture, but they gave up the connection. The Kshatriyas, who were afraid of Parashuram and had hidden themselves in the Caucasian hilly regions, later on became known as the Ābhīras, and the place they inhabited was known as Ābhīra-desha. Śumbhās and Kankas. The inhabitants of the Kanka province of old Bhārata mentioned in the Mahabharata. Yavanas. Yavana was the name of one of the son of Maharaj Yayati, and who was given the part of the world known as Turkey to rule. Therefore, the Turks are Yavanas due to the being descendants of Maharaj Yavana. The Yavanas were therefore Kshatriyas, and later on, by giving up the Brahmanical culture, they became Mlecha Yavanas. Description of the Yavanas are in the Mahabharata, Adi Parva 85-34. Another prince called Turvashu was also known as Yavana, and his country was conquered by Sahadeva, one of the Pandavas. The western Yavana joined with Duryodhana in the battle of Kurukshetra under the pressure of Karna. It is also foretold that these Yavanas also would conquer India, and it proved to be true. Kasha. The inhabitants of the Kasha Desh are mentioned in the Mahabharata, Drona Parva. Those who have a stunt growth of hair on the upper lip are generally known as Kasha. As such, the Kasha are the Mongolians, the Chinese, and other who are so designated. The above mentioned historical names are different nations of the world. Even those who are constantly engaged in sinful acts are all corrigible to the standards of perfect human beings if they take shelter of the devotees of the Lord. Jesus Christ and Muhammad, two powerful devotees of the Lord, have done tremendous service on behalf of the Lord on the surface of the globe. And from the versions of Srila Shukadev Goswami, it appears that instead of running a godless civilization in the present context of the world situation, if the leadership of world affairs is entrusted to the devotees of the Lord, for which a worldwide organization under the name and style of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness has already been started, then by the grace of the Almighty Lord, there can be thorough change of heart in the human beings all over the world, because the devotees of the Lord are able authorities to effect such a change by purifying the dust-worn minds of the people in general. The politicians of the world may remain in their respective positions because the pure devotees of the Lord are not interested in political leadership or diplomatic implications. The devotees are interested only in seeing that the people in general are not misguided by political propaganda, and in seeing that the valuable life of human being is not spoiled in following a type of civilization which is ultimately doomed. If the politicians, therefore, would be guided by the good counsel of the devotees, then certainly there will be a great change in the world situation by the purifying propaganda of the devotees, as shown by the Lord Chaitanya. As Shukadev Goswami began his prayers by discussing the word yat kirtanam. So also Lord Chaitanya recommended that simply by glorifying the Lord's holy name, a tremendous change of heart can take place, by which the complete misunderstanding between the human nations created by politicians can at once be extinguished. And after the extinction of the fire of misunderstanding, other profits will follow. The destination is to go back home, back to Godhead, as we have several times discussed in these pages. According to the cult of devotion, generally known as the Vaishnava cult, there is no bar against anyone's advancing in the matter of God realization. A Vaishnava is powerful enough to turn into a Vaishnava, even kirāta, etc., as above mentioned. In the Bhagavad Gita 9:32, it is said by the Lord that there is no bar to becoming a devotee of the Lord, even for those who are low-born, or women, Shudras, or Vaishyas. And by becoming a devotee, everyone is eligible to return home, back to Godhead. The only qualification is that one takes shelter of pure devotee of the Lord, who has thorough knowledge of the transcendental science of Krishna, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Anyone from any part of the world who becomes well conversant in the science of Krishna becomes a pure devotee and a spiritual master for the general mass of people, and may reclaim them by purification of heart. Though a person be even the most sinful man, he can at once be purified by systematic contact with the pure Vaishnava. A Vaishnava, therefore, can accept a bona fide disciple from any part of the world without any consideration of caste and creed, and promote him by regulative principles to the status of a pure Vaishnava who is transcendental to Brahminical culture. The system of caste or varnashrama dharma is no longer regular even amongst the so-called followers of the system, nor it is now possible to re-establish the institutional function in the present context of social, political, and economic revolution. Without any reference to the particular custom of a country, one can be accepted to the Vaishnava cult spiritually, and there is no hindrance in the transcendental process. So by the order of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the cult of Srimad Bhagavatam or the Bhagavad Gita can be preached all over the world, reclaiming all persons willing to accept the transcendental cult. Such a cultural propaganda by the devotees will certainly be accepted by all persons who are reasonable and inquisitive, without any particular bias for the custom of the country. The Vaishnava never accepts another Vaishnava on the basis of birthright, just as he never thinks of the deity of the Lord in the temple as an idol. And to remove all doubts in this connection, Srila Shukadev Goswami has invoked the blessings of the Lord, who is all-powerful, prabhaviṣṇave namaḥ. As the all-powerful Lord accepts the humble service of his devotees in devotional activities of the archana, his form as the worshipable deity in the temple, similarly the body of the pure Vaishnava changes transcendentally at once when he gives himself up to the service of the Lord and is trained by the qualified Vaishnava. The injunction of Vaishnava regulation in this connection runs as follows. Archaya Vishnav Shiladhir Gurushu Naramatir Vaishnave Jati Buddhi Shri Vishnor Namni Shabda Samanya Buddhi, etc. One should not consider the deity of the Lord as worshipable in the temple to be an idol, nor should one consider the authorized spiritual master an ordinary man. nor should one consider a pure Vaishnava to belong to a particular caste, etc. Padma Purana. The conclusion is that the Lord, being all-powerful, can, under every circumstance, accept anyone from any part of the world, either personally or through his bona fide manifestation as a spiritual master. Lord Chaitanya accepted many devotees from communities other than the Varnashramites, and he himself declared to teach us that he does not belong to any caste or social order of life, but that he is the eternal servant of the servant of the Lord, who maintains the themselves of Vrindavan, Lord Krishna. That is the way of self-realization. Haribol. That was a long one. Yeah, so many points Srila Prabhupada is making here. But yeah, just in summary, nobody is excluded from Krishna's mercy, be it whoever, in any situation. And that's something which is very important, and it's actually very wonderful. It starts, this is the preaching of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is the most merciful. He is preaching to anyone. He is giving the opportunity to be purified, to go back to Godhead, to anyone. In fact, then we see that even more merciful than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then we have Nitai. When he goes and he's begging, he begs people, please just chant the holy name. And many times he is ridiculed. He is even thrown out from a house. Hey, get lost, go. I don't want to hear it. But he still keeps begging. We see on Jagai Amadai, when he is hurt, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then he could not bear that. He was going to kill them. But he himself is begging on their behalf, please, no, my Lord, don't kill them. No, what's the point? So many people, most of the people in the world are like this. So if you kill them all, then what's the point? I mean, it's coming. Kalki will come, and then his purpose is to kill everyone. But not now, not yet. Now still the teaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu applies, that anybody can be purified. So, this is something to actually learn from. And he mentions the Mohammedans, he mentioned Christians, right? So we see how much hate there is between different religions. Constant killing. It was always there, some wars. Now the Ukraine war, it's also going, it's some sort of religion fight for place. But there is no good reason for it. So, but you see now how Srila Prabhupada actually mentions how They are great devotees. So, different people, they have different nature, different mentality. And the religion should be trying or should be aiming for engaging in nature in the service, some way or other. The Christians, they do. The Muslims, they do. They have religion as long as they follow, their shastra. Then it's progressive. But once the interpretation of the shastra starts coming, then it's a drift away. So we see it happened now in the Christianity. Previously, when the devotees were there, after Jesus left, so they had written many realizations, the Gospels. But after that, the Saint Paul, he comes and then he picks and chooses whatever is good for him to create a church which can be maintained, an institution. But then he did it according to his desire, just how to control the power. And then that's what it is today. So most of the Gospels, which they were actually explanations of Bhakti in a certain way. Some of the Gospels, they even mention God as being male and female energy. There's two energies. Service to God. But they were removed because they were not very fitting to that. So certain got left, certain were removed, and then after that, then the church, then it is what it is now. It's just the seat of the political power, where at least it was very much. Now maybe a little less, but nonetheless still it is very powerful. Then the Muslims also, they could have, they have very great sarana, and you can even see, even now, then the Muslims very strictly follow. They have, not 3 sandhyas, they have like 5 times the namaḥ, but then they all get together and then very strictly then follow. Makes them very powerful. So Jesus and Muhammad, great devotees of the Lord, because they were able to also then elevate the consciousness of the people whom then surrender to them. Maybe not to the fully transcendental, but even the Vedas. The Vedas, they have many parts, right? Karma kanda, jnana kanda. So if somebody somebody is studying karma kanda, he is convinced by the scriptures that this is the topmost way how to be engaged in the service to the Lord. That's all. So he may not figure out this lifetime that there is anything better than karma kanda. But maybe one lifetime, maybe few lifetimes, then eventually he will figure out that there is something higher, jnana kanda. So then he will see that just karma kanda means just the work, so then I get the benefit. I do pious activities. Pious activities means I want to go to heaven. That's pious. I avoid sinful activity. I don't want to go to hell. But it's still material work. So, higher than that, jnana kanda, that means that there is something beyond this material world. But they know it as Brahman. We also know Brahman. The Supreme Brahman, we know that the Supreme Brahman has not three aspects. Krishna has three aspects, right? Brahman being the lowest, Sat. But the Jnana Kandis, this is what they are trying to realize. But then, still the Shastra talks about there is higher than Jnana Kanda, there is Upasana Kanda. Then service to the Lord, to service to the person. So even there are the gradations. So all we need to do is now to figure out where are we, what are we doing, what did we get by Srila Prabhupada, by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We got the highest possibility. We got the ability to, in one lifetime, to purify our heart, so then we can go to Goloka. That's all. So the ability is there. So we just need to purify our consciousness. Cheta Darpana Marjanam. So if that's done, anybody can. And how it's possible, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, he is showing us that he didn't care about the Varnashrama as such. So he initiated to the status of Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, who were born in the Muslim family, or who became Muslim. Then Haridas Thakur, he was born in a Muslim family. So there is no difference where one is born. Rather, what is my desire? What do I want? So the devotional service is about to convince us to properly develop our desire. That's all. If you desire heaven, easily you can get it. You desire to transcend this material world, you can get it. By the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Among the Madhvas, there is one, there are the 8 matas, and then one is Pejavara Mat. So, see, the Madhvas, they have the system of that they are bona fide Vaishnavas, and they go also to Vaikuntha. That's their aim. Now the system how they have it, it's different from our system. So Madhvacharya, he established the system, and the system actually what it is, that the devotees in the Madhva Sampradaya, then they follow the process of the Varnashrama Dharma. But not this one here, Srila Prabhupada described the caste system. Daivi Varnashrama Dharma. This is the Varnashrama Dharma Srila Prabhupada talks about, that I have complete 50%, but now you have to complete the other 50% to create Varnashrama Dharma. But he's not talking Asuric, he's talking Daivi Varnashrama. So, serving the Lord, but in the capacity of to understand what is my nature, and based on then serve the Lord. So the Madhvas, they follow the Daivi Varnashrama Dharma, and they follow it 100 consecutive lifetimes. And then when they are successful in that, then they go to Brahmaloka. And when Lord Brahma goes back to Godhead, he's a devotee. So they go with him. So it takes time. But after all, it's still just a blink of an eye for some, right? So no problem. Now, when actually he was asked, because Pejawar Swami, he left his body, few years ago, 2 years ago, I think. Yeah. Anyway, so at that time, he was actually here for the Srila Prabhupada centennial. So he was staying with us for a few days. So then, when he was asked, then why it is that, he is very appreciative of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings. He respects very much. He accepts it's bona fide. He is very, very, respectful to. So then, when asked, okay, so it's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings, following those in one lifetime, anybody, any tribes can go to Vaikuntha, Goloka. And the system of the Madhvas takes long time. It takes many consecutive lifetimes, and so many things can happen. It's risky, but it's there. But also it's guaranteed. You just have to endeavor more. So now, since the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's system is superior, why not to take that one? And so, why not? And he said, it's simple. I accept that the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are superior, but I have been, I follow in the sampradaya of Madhvacharya. Then my Acharya, he is giving us this system. I cannot be unchaste. I cannot just pick and choose what I want. I am very grateful to my Acharya, and I will strictly follow the system as he has given and achieve perfection. So now, the same way we have Acharya Srila Prabhupada, we should also follow with the same mood. I want to be chaste to Srila Prabhupada. I want to follow everything what he preaches. Sometimes it may be not so easy to understand. Sometimes it may be difficult to follow, because I don't know. But at least I will endeavor. Like with the Varnashrama. Right? When Srila Prabhupada talked, he told Bhakti Charu Maharaj. It was in 1977, just before he left, that okay, this is what's left to do. Needs to be done. 50%. So everything else what Srila Prabhupada considered, he considered half. Another half, then now to establish the process. So that's something which is remaining. Now we need to look into how to implement it. It's not easy. So many different cultures. You see, in Mayapur, it's a mix of cultures. Everybody considers something else more important than somebody else. But we need to be able to get together, to follow in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada. Not to create our own whims, how we want to do things because it's more suitable for me. It's not easy, yes, but it's not impossible. If we follow the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then if we follow the Trinadapi Sunichna, Saradapi Sahishna, Amanina, Manadena, Kirtanya Saraha, we follow that. That's the way how we can tolerate each other. But at the same time, we can respect each other. That's very important. Become humble. We need to be selfless. Because it's not about this body. This body is just a covering of the jiva. The jiva is pure. The jiva, no, we know it's pure. But now somehow we are manifested, no, through our false ego, such a way. So then I have demands, no, I have faults, no, so many things are there. But we know this is all temporary. If the covering is removed, or not if, when the covering is removed, then we can see the pure jiva. There is no fault in pure jiva. And then how we can remove the covering? It's just by desire. That I want that, and add to it the process of chanting, taking Mahaprasad, and then it's done. That's all we need to do. We have our free will, and that free will has to be utilized. In desiring, I want to be purified. That's all. But in the process, yes, so many things still can happen. But it's still temporary. So we should try to study more Srila Prabhupada's books and implement them in our life. Help others to understand these teachings. And then, what's the obstacle? There's no obstacle. Everything can be achieved in one lifetime. Everything meaning we can be fully Krishna conscious. We can come to Anandamaya platform in one lifetime. No obstacle. But the condition is that we have to want it. If we don't want, we won't get it. So that's all. So it's very wonderful purport. Srila Prabhupada showing that anybody can. What to speak about devotees? We talked about non-devotees, mlechas, yavanas. So anybody, no, who is a devotee, maybe in good standing, maybe not in good standing, maybe he's partially following, maybe no, fully following, but still, at least there is some desire. So need some time to develop the full desire. I want to follow everything. I want to follow the teachings of Srila Prabhupada. That's all. If we can get there, then nothing can stop such person to be fully Krishna conscious. So that's the message of Srila Prabhupada he is giving us. So maybe just let's try to endeavor more to develop our desire properly. Hare Krishna. So any question? Yes. You have a mic somewhere? Yeah, here. Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for your class. Can you please, you were just speaking about how we can go back to Godhead. We've been promised by Srila Prabhupada, by the process, that we can go back to Godhead in this very lifetime. When we join the movement, we're so full of enthusiasm, we think, yeah, it's going to be easy. I'll just follow the process. And then as time progresses and one gets closer to death, one realizes, it seems like I'm further away from that than when I started. So how is it that one can adjust the mentality of being faithful to the promise of Srila Prabhupada and looking at the reality of where we're at? Any comments would be helpful.
Okay. See, it's a similar way when a devotee just joins, right? So, like you said, join, very enthusiastic, and he is just experiencing bliss. But that's the immediate, the beginning, something new. So it's like more passion, kind of like, and it's wonderful. It's ecstatic. But then, after some time, then the devotee, he starts resurfacing his previous difficulties. But even though there will be less, because there is already purification, but still, he is still attached to some of his dealings, how he is, his mentality. Because that's the false ego. Now, like, why is it difficult actually to give up false ego? It's because the false ego makes us who we think we are. So, because of my false ego, I have certain needs, I have certain qualities, I have respect of my friends who see the similar way, and that's how I have friends, and now I am somebody. And if I give up my false ego, who will I become? There is a fear. So the devotees who are enthusiastic and they get into the good association, they can remain enthusiastic throughout. But then, when the association, it's not as serious, then there will be a need to look for, okay, what was I doing before? And starting to think about the materialistic desires. Previously, devotees would be more focused on, okay, like devotee, brahmachari comes to the temple. Okay, so what's my responsibility? And only then, where will I sleep? Or some facility? No, just, it can be simple. I want responsibility. But nowadays, it's mostly the devotees come to the temple. What's my facility? And, this is not good. I'm going. And then, okay, this is good facility. So, okay, do you want me to do something? So, it also became, reversed. So, the enthusiasm should be, like you were saying, that we see the first generation of devotees not joining Srila Prabhupada's movement. There was enthusiasm, feeling, we can go back to Godhead, we can go what Srila Prabhupada is saying. Just maintain the desire, and the desire must be in the Harinam Sankirtan, must be reading Srila Prabhupada's books. We must be convinced. We must come to the Platonam Nishtha. Because from the Platonam Nishtha, then it's very quick, the process. But if we are maintaining on anarthas, and we don't go through the anartha nivritti, then the mind is going to always persuade us to do some nonsense. And that's our desire. So, in the enthusiasm the devotee has when he joins in the proper association, and he sees, and he is experiencing the bliss, because he never had anything like that. But he is looking for relationships. It's the relationship among devotees. So when that's given, he can continue doing that. He can remain Like Srila Prabhupada gives the analogy of the iron. When the iron is in the fire, becomes red hot, and it's fire. But when you take the iron out, it cools down, and it's not fire anymore. So the devotee should remain in the association of fire and be the fire. So if we have, like I mentioned, the four qualities, being humble, tolerant, respectful, and selfless, then that can be maintained. When we see many devotees come to become a devotee because they are fried with the material world. So they expect something better. They expect something that there is going to be society, everybody cares about each other, everybody is helpful to each other, no politics. But when they come, after some time they figure out it's the same thing like I left. No, I don't want that. So how we can create the feeling, the proper atmosphere, so then the devotees can be sheltered. Because that's what everybody is looking for. Everybody is looking for shelter. No, materialists, they are looking for material shelter. Transcendentalists, they are looking for transcendental shelter. So if I'm fried, I am not satisfied with the material shelter, I want to have some transcendental, I join. I'm expecting that it's going to be like that. But then when I see material attachments, the quality which I try to I try to leave. So then there is some dissatisfaction. But if we follow the teachings of Srila Prabhupada, if we follow just the 7 principles of ISKCON, what can go wrong? There will always be some mentality, some desire, but overall, the society can create such an atmosphere that devotees will be immensely happy to be engaged. So it starts with the family, extends to the community, and it can be applicable to the whole society. Hare Krishna. Yes. You have it?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Always love your classes. You mentioned that significant point in the last Maharaj's question that sometimes we join and we're expecting like a utopia, and we find that there's so much struggle, interpersonal relationship issues, and as devotees it can be very hard to navigate that, because we don't want to make offenses, but at the same time, sometimes we might need to stand up for ourselves or say that's wrong, or call out something that's very evidently wrong, and I find it one of the most confusing things in my spiritual life to navigate that. So I was wondering if you can elaborate.
See, sometimes, like you are saying, being humble, so we let others to do anything kind of like, and we just, we tolerate. Now, when there is something which we want to mention, okay, it's wrong, to do thing, and this is wrong, and then it's possible, but we should be following the Vaishnava etiquette, just how it is done. Not create politics and make one or chase like create atmosphere where like a whole community is against someone or anything like that. No, it should not be done. It should be dealt with properly, and by the authorities. That means we have to develop something, not being envious, which is opposite to not being humble. So, and when we see, like, if you become then temple commander, you will become like a leader, or you become a father, it's your responsibility to see that somebody does something wrong. That you cannot avoid that. As a father, your kid does something wrong. You cannot just say, oh no, this is temporary, I'm not seeing that, no, he will grow from it. No, you have to correct him, you have to maybe punish him. But why are you doing it? Are you showing that you are better than him? Or are you showing him you care about him, and that's why you are implementing the punishment so then he can also improve? The way of how you implement the punishment will be the same. The consciousness will not. So when you see, as a temple commander, you see somebody does something wrong at the premises of the temple. So you have to go and then you have to talk to him. And if he doesn't want to correct, you have to remove him. But you're not doing it to show I'm better than you and you get lost. You are doing it as a concern for all those who take shelter of you, whom you are responsible for. You don't want bad association. But that's the consciousness which you are carrying it, and that's what it's understood by the subordinates. They see, oh, he is nice temple commander. I feel sheltered under him. I feel he will protect me. But you cannot put your own agendas in it, because that ruins that. So you have to see whether it's you are doing it out of affection or out of attachment. But the system, the way, the activity will look exactly the same. So this is the leadership. That's how we can protect. That's what the Kshatriyas do. Somebody thinks that Kshatriyas is like fighting. But the main attributes of Kshatriya is protection. So the fight is there to protect, sometimes necessary, but it's about feeling sheltered. When we see the Pandavas are leaving Hastinapur, right? And then all the citizens, they are going with them. Maharaj Yudhishthira, he is the perfect king. Then Duryodhana, he is excellent king. He is good. He knows how to. One thing is missing, that he is not Krishna conscious. He is not God conscious. So, otherwise, to maintain and to progress, to do everything, he is a good leader that way. But the citizens didn't want to be with him. They wanted to go out. They would rather go to the forest, being there with somebody who protects them by giving shelter of Krishna. So ultimately, the leader should be doing that. Not being just a manager. Leader can manage. But manager doesn't necessarily know how to lead. So Srila Prabhupada wanted us to become leaders. The difference is the manager sometimes he gets people to work with. Okay, so he does his job and okay, I'm done. He may not need to care about what's going to happen after that with the people. But the leader, he is feeling very responsible, so he cares about the people, and that's why he is giving them the service and taking them through, so then they benefit from it. So he cares.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. It was a brilliant answer.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai Nitai Gaur Pramananda.